Counting is almost over now for the Maharashtra Vidhan Sabha elections. We have with us Anish Gawande. He's the spokesperson for the NCP SP. Anish, my first question to you is what went wrong?
That's for us to ponder over the next few days. I think for today, the analysis can wait. What needs to happen today is an acceptance of this conflict with humility and grace. I think we fought hard, we fought well. I'm incredibly proud of the election campaign that the NCP, SP, and the Maha Vikas Aghadi put together to put forward a progressive, forward-thinking agenda for development for Maharashtra. I think we failed to connect with voters. Somehow we failed to convince voters that our platform was one that they should choose over the one presented by the Mahayuti. But we accept this verdict with humility and grace and hope to sort of introspect in the months to come.
One thing that's coming up a lot is that the women of Maharashtra were sort of game changer this time. Do you think that the Ladki Bahan scheme did work in favor of the ruling government?
Absolutely. I think the Ladki Bahin scheme, which was launched a few months before the elections, certainly had an impact. It's what explains the difference between the Lok Sabha elections and the Vidhan Sabha elections. But unfortunately, it was the narrative around the Ladki Bahin scheme which also made a bigger impact, right? That there were ads circulating that said that the Ladki Bahin scheme would be discontinued if the BJP did not come back to power. There was a rhetoric spread that if you were accepting money from Ladki Bahin, you should not vote for the opposition. It was another failure on our part to convey to that we would actually give rupees 3,000 under our Mahalakshmi package in contrast to the Ladki Bahin scheme, right? So I think we certainly did not manage to correct the narrative on that front. I think we have to recognize that voters are an incredibly integral vote in SDN time. I only hope that agenda with our working president Suryata Isu actually made remarkable changes in the party. We had the highest percentage of women candidates in this election compared to all other political parties, and we've stated time and again that our commitment to women's empowerment is not limited to a single scheme. And I think we need to double down on that and make sure that voters understand that we want a more progressive and inclusive future for the women of Maharashtra.
But the Maha Vikas Aghadi is almost down to 52 seats now. Do you think that the alliance was riding on the Lok Sabha election wave, and that's where somewhere you have really not calculated things well? That NCP SP did really well in the Lok Sabha elections, but what happened this time?
I wouldn't say that because 2 days after Lok Sabha election results, Pawar Sahib was already on his sort of tour of Maharashtra holding sabhas across the state. Just a few weeks after the Lok Sabha elections, in fact, you had the Shiva Swaraj Yatra led by our state president Jayant Patilji and Amol Kolheji, again doing a separate round in the state. Supriya Tai and other leaders were then also roaming around, individually holding sabhas in other regions of the state. So we knew that despite the Lok Sabha election result, the Vidhan Sabha was going to be a different ballgame entirely, and were geared up to really put up a tough fight. And it did come down to an incredibly close fight between the two alliances. In many seats, the margins have been slim. Of course, in others, they have been incredibly large and unexpectedly large. And we have to acknowledge that as well. But I think the effort put in was certainly uh, not limited or coming from a place of overconfidence.
We did hear Shiv Sena UBT leader Sanjay Raut saying that this absolutely cannot be the verdict of Maharashtra, and people are not foolish to give this kind of mandate to Mahayuti, blaming it on the EVMs to on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also on industrialist Gautam Adani. Do you humbly accept the verdict, or do you also feel there is some sort of foul play?
Sanjay Rautji is a senior leader of the Maha Vikas Aghadi. I think uh, when he does speak, he speaks with the wisdom of many years of experience. I think for now, it's too early to raise these questions about how the election turned out the way it did. I think we have to humbly accept the verdict given to us within Maharashtra and introspect on where things went wrong. I think if there are legitimate questions to be raised, they will be raised in the weeks to come. But I think we need to find the right forum to raise these concerns. And right now, when tensions are running high, when we've just seen the conclusion of an election, we might have to sit down, respect, and accept the verdict given by the people of Maharashtra.
Who do you think? Who do you see as the potential CM face? Because now Devendra Fadnvis' name is also coming up, rightly so, because BJP is leading on the majority of the seats now. So, do you think there's going to be some kind of conflict when it comes to the Maharashtra Chief Minister chair?
I was prepared to answer this question as to who would be the chief minister from our side, but unfortunately, this morning's results have thrown cold water on all of our plans. But it's someone else's alliance, someone else's decision. I don't think it's right for me to comment on who should their chief minister be. Just like I thought it was wrong for them to comment on who our chief minister should be. So I wish the Ayuthi all the very best in selecting a chief ministerial candidate. I'm sure that they have the mandate of the people and will decide according to the discussions and deliberations that take place in their own alliance.
But if you can tell the viewers that, oh, where did the miscalculation happen? Because you have been doing the election campaign for the past several months now. So, what was the ground reality like, and where did it go wrong? What was the miscalculation that has led to
The
this
ground
result?
reality, the ground reality is that there is incredible agrarian distress in Maharashtra. Soya bean is rotting on the sides of the street. There is a large amount of inflation that is putting an unprecedented burden on ordinary people in the state. There is a crisis of unemployment, and these are all challenges in front of the state today. Now, unfortunately, in the last week, there was a narrative created around the Hindu Muslim divide through fictional sort of items and agenda items like letters from ulemas and photos with certain people that had an outsized impact on the discourse around the election. So I think, unfortunately, those narratives and discourses have played a significant part in uh, turning attention away from these other issues. That's where a strategic miscalculation may have been made, and I think we have to acknowledge that. But this is a larger fight. This is an ideological fight. It's not a personal fight. I think this has never been an election that's about individuals or sort of personal enmities. This has been about an ideological difference, and I think when you have an ideological difference in politics, the job when you lose is not to point fingers, but rather to work harder to convince people that the path that you propose is the better one.
So Swara Bhaskar has very recently tweeted, and she is also raising some questions on the EVM. That for the longest time, her husband was the candidate from your party, and he was leading on his seat. But then after a while, he started trailing. So your party as well is raising some questions on the election procedure. So how do you see that?
I haven't seen Swara's statements yet. Fahad is an equally competent candidate and a progressive campaign filled with messages of a new development future for Anushakti Nagar. Certain that the concerns that he's raised about EVM or that Swara has raised about EVM will be raised in the appropriate forums and that you'll see some sort of resolution on that in the days to come. But I think there is a forum to raise those complaints, and if there are any irregularities, they should certainly be investigated. They should certainly be looked into.
Quick thoughts about the Jharkhand results as well, because the India Alliance is fairly done well with JMM leading the government. So, quick thoughts about that.
The India Alliance has done fairly well in Jharkhand. I think it's been a good day on that front for our alliance, and I think that we look forward to putting forth a government that will develop and progress, work on development and progress. I think that's definitely been a mixed bag with the Maharashtra election results, particularly for us at the NCPSP. But I'm hoping that this means that the India Alliance at the central level will be strengthened and that the conversations that take place in the upcoming Parliament session, the winter session of Parliament, will be productive and we'll see a reinvigorated opposition holding the government accountable.
One last question I was coming to that. That now, as opposition, you'll be sitting in the opposition. How's the opposition going to look like in Maharashtra now?
We don't have the numbers to get a leader of opposition, so we'll be in the same situation that we were in the Lok Sabha not too long ago in 2014. But we made it out in 2014 in the Lok Sabha and managed to reinvigorate and revitalize ourselves a little over a decade later. And I'm sure we'll manage to do that again in Maharashtra even sooner. I think as an opposition, we will play the role of a responsible opposition. We want to take the narrative away from Hindu Muslim divides towards development, towards progress, towards more sort of transparency and accountability. And I think that we'll serve the people of Maharashtra to the best of our abilities, even though we might not have the same numbers that we did in the last Vidhan Sabha.
That was our conversation with Anish. Not a very good day for the Maha Vikas Aghadi, and as he said, that the alliance will sit and analyze the verdict that the people of Maharashtra has given. And thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you so much for being with Jagran English, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for me. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you.